Yo, what up, dogs? Last night I went and saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts. I went to the 8:50 late night showing. There was about 20 people, maybe 25 people there, and we all watched it in good old fashioned standard definition. And I have to say, I liked the movie. I was genuinely entertained. There are things about this movie that I did not like, but there are things about this movie that I actually really enjoyed. And I left the theater going, I was entertained. And I think the people in the audience with me were also entertained because we genuinely laughed a lot at this film. And I mean, like, at the jokes. Like, we're not laughing or groaning at the weird Michael Bay humor that we're used to from the original Transformer franchise. So it was like refreshing to have good jokes that everyone enjoyed. And there were some moments in this film that genuinely released some hype and some joy. And the dude beside me, like 4 seats over, he literally fist pumped the air when a certain scene happened. And all of a sudden, LL Cool J's "Mama Gonna Knock You Out," and he just goes, "Yeah!" like full on. And I just caught it out of the side of my eye. I'm like, yo, I'm with you. I am with you. My inner child is also fist pumping in the air because that scene was dope and it warranted the excitement. And yeah, man, it was a good movie. This will go down as a movie that I like to classify as a perfect rainy day film because everything that goes on in this movie is decent. The action sequences, though, they make up for it. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you when I say this, that this movie made me logically go, huh? And then it brought me back with, wow. And I kept doing that throughout this movie, going, how'd that, huh? Yeah, wow. So it was a lot of give and take with this movie that took me out of it and into it, out of it and into it. And that's why I'm saying this movie is good. You know? Just good. Fun entertainment. And let's get into this, actually. Let's talk about this real quick here. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to kind of just, gloss over things. If you want me to do a spoiler review, leave a comment below, and I will start considering doing spoilerish reviews because those are always fun to do. And let's go. So this movie is directed by Stephen Caple Jr., who made Creed 2, and I enjoyed Creed 2, so I'm going to say, you know what? He's on a little bit of a roll for me because I like this movie as well. So I look forward to seeing what he has next lined up. I will go and see it. And the movie starts off with the Beasties or the Primals. I forget what they're actually called. I forget all the factions of the Autobots or the Cybertrons. To be perfectly honest, I'm in my 40s, guys. I forget a lot of the stuff that I grew up with. And I'll be honest, that's the thing. Like, I forget all the Transformer movies that I watched, except for the classic original. But I'm not a purist. I don't care about that anymore. Like, I don't care. Just entertain me, man. And I liked Bumblebee, but I'll be honest, I also forget Bumblebee. I forget who the girl is that's in it that hangs out with Bumblebee, but I know I enjoyed that film as well. And this movie takes place right in the middle. And we start off with the Primes, or the Beasties, I guess, who are running / hiding from Scourge, who is played by or voiced by Peter Dinklage. And Scourge is after the MacGuffin of a key that if he gets it, will open a portal to a multiple dimensional thingy that will summon Unicron to come and destroy Earth, which is full of Energon. And Energon is a life force to the Transformers or the Cybertronians. And that is why they're after Earth. But the Beasties are like, no, we can't let you have this place. It's full of life and all that jazz. So they fight off Scourge, and Optimus Primal, who's voiced by Ron Perlman, his mentor, which I forget his name, sacrifices himself in order for the bots, the Beasties, to escape with the key. And this causes Scourge to get zapped away by Unicron because he failed him. It's kind of silly how this whole thing plays out, so to speak. And I kind of wish we got to hang out with the the beasties a little bit longer because it doesn't make really much sense as to why they're there in the first place. Like, if you know the Beast Wars series, you know it's about time travel and they get to Earth before the Autobots because they're escaping these Decepticons and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm very hazy on my Beast Wars memory as well. So I don't know why they're actually on Earth. They don't really set that up as to the why. But also, I might be forgetting the why because I was just in awe of the beautiful CGI of these robots, man. I was like, the whole time. It was just so much fun, you know. It was the robots in disguise, man. They were just looking so damn cool on the big screen. As always, they still look cool in this. They looked even cooler in this, I think, just because you could see them. Like, really lit up nice, really bright scenery around them. The CGI in this movie is actually damn good. So after the whole Unicron thingy with the beasties and stuff is explored, we get fast forwarded to 1994. I grew up in the 90s as a teenager, so I'm kind of like, what's going on here? Where's the arcades? Where's the skateboards, the BMXs? The music is actually good, but some of the songs didn't come out until late 90s or late 94. But then again, we don't really know when in 94 this is. But like, Waterfalls didn't really blow up until like late 94, 95, where it actually became part of the culture in a sense. And the way it is used in this film is like, no one was singing Waterfalls like that, you know? Anyways, you had to be there. Also, some of the fashion choices were kind of wrong. Like, I was like, where's everybody's starter jackets and the that good old school 8-ball jacket and the leather one? And no one was wearing any Jordans, and like, there was just things missing, you know? But then again, I understand that you can't afford those brands probably in your movie because that would just blow up the budget. So I get it. But we are introduced to the Diaz family. We got Noah Diaz, who's played by Anthony Ramos, and Chris Diaz, his little brother, who's played by Dean Scott Vazquez. And Noah Diaz is the older brother. He's an army guy. He kind of had a falling out with the army of some way. He's really good with electronics, and he is an all-around good-natured human being who's trying to make ends meet and help his mom pay the bills because his little brother has sickle cell, and they have really big hospital bills, and they just can't make the ends meet, and he's just trying to find a job. And when he goes to find a job, he's getting rejected all the time because he had kind of like a falling out with the army of some sort, and he's not getting good reviews on his resume and stuff like that, which is illegal, by the way. You have to give a good review. Anyways, he's having a hard time, so he has to go and enter the street life with his friend Reek, who is a street hustler, and he is played by Tobe Nwigwe. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. And he's kind of a friend of Noah's, but kind of not. There's certain nefarious things that he does later on in the movie where you're kind of like, I won't want to be his friend. He left me out to dry like that. He's on the outs for me. But he goes into the hustle of stealing cars, and this is where he is introduced to Mirage, who's played by Pete Davidson. And I have to say, Pete Davidson and the humor that he brings to this movie, refreshing, and it's funny, and it's good timing, and like, it's just good. We all laughed. We laughed quite a bit. There's one joke that he does that the audience genuinely popped for with like a huge laugh, and I laughed too. It was great. It was really good. The thing with Noah too that I really liked about him is he's like a fish out of water multiple times. Like, he doesn't want to be a street hustler, but he has to, and he's a fish out of water. This is his first time ever doing a crime, and I like that about him because he's a novice and he doesn't know what he's doing, and like, he steals Mirage, and Mirage is a transformer, and Mirage kidnaps him, so to speak, and they elude the cops and stuff, and then he's introduced to him being a transformer, and it's like, what is all this? And then he's introduced to Optimus Prime and RC and Bumblebee, and he's like, what is all of this? And like, you genuinely actually like Noah in his arc. And then he has a cool kind of stakes in this where he has a moment where he's like, do I do this thing to save Earth, or do I do this thing to let the Autobots go home? And it's a very cool little dilemma that he has that I liked, actually. And then we have the second human character, that are of our main ones. Played, her name is Elena Wallace, and she's played by Dominique Fishback, and she's pretty cool too. Actually, she's a historian, a big book nerd. She knows her art, her antiquities. She's kind of a pseudo archaeologist in a sense. I don't know if she is an archaeologist, but she really knows her stuff, and she's a big nerd about ancient artifacts and stuff like that. And she's the one who's kind of piecing together all this lore and history and hieroglyphs in a sense that just don't make sense. And when she's introduced to this artifact, she doesn't believe that it is from Nigeria. None of it all adds up. So she spends the night working on the artifact, and she breaks it and reveals a key. But she doesn't know it's a key. You know what I'm saying? It turns on and releases a giant beam into the sky, which was really cool how they explained it, because Mirage explains it to Noah, saying it's in a frequency or a spectrum that the human eye cannot detect. Like, humans can't hear it, can't see it, you can't detect it. Only the Autobots and Decepticons and people of Cybertron will be able to see this giant beacon in the sky. And I thought that was really smart, because Elena doesn't know what's going on at all. She's just like, what did I do? She's more concerned about her job and keeping it. And so we are now introduced to the the Autobots are like, you need to go and do this mission for us. Prime doesn't trust humans at all, by the way. And he's like, you gotta go and do this thing for us. Like, it's all, Mirage's whole idea is like, let him do it. He's a human, he can get in and out. And so fast forward to Noah meeting Elena for the first time. And this is where it all begins. You know what I'm saying? The Scourge and the I forget what they're called. They're part of Unicron's crew, and shows up and starts blowing everything up and stuff like that. And then the Autobots show up to save the humans, and they start blowing stuff up and all that. And then like the combat is so freaking crisp and clean. No shaky cam. You can see what's going on. You know who's who. It's actually refreshing, like I've said. And this is where the story just starts to really pick up. Like, once they get to the MacGuffin, and the first MacGuffin, because the second MacGuffin is the key was broken into two, and one group has it and like hit it, and another one hit it here, and yeah, it's a whole thing. There's a lot of MacGuffin chasing in this movie, because the key is, like I've already said, and this is where it gets weird, is it is a portal dimensional thing that is used to summon Unicron to come and eat planets that are full of energon, but you also have Optimus Prime saying that this key can take him home and his crew home back to Cybertron, which is cool. So that's their whole thing. And the key also is, like I said, is Noah's dilemma of, should I kill this key so Unicron never shows up and the Autobots are stuck here? You know, and that's a whole thing. It's actually pretty well thought out. But like, as I'm going to explain here, I got two things that I didn't like about this movie. One is, honestly, it just felt like we lost some translation in the edit room, where there's certain scenes where the Autobots just randomly show up, and same with the Decepticons, or whatever we're going to call those villains. I forget their name, I'm sorry. They just show up. And there's a couple scenes in particular where the Autobots are like really, really far away in the distance, and they see the beam, and they're like, that's at the museum. But we don't get a transition of Autobots roll out, transform and roll out. Like, we don't get that, and we don't see them drive off into that location. But what happens is we get a cut to Scourge and crew beating up everybody, pew, 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 pew. And then all of a sudden the Autobots drive in. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, huh? How'd you get there so fast? You know what I'm saying? So there's certain things that are like that in this movie. There's another scene where they're like, okay, we have to go get the second key. It's in Peru. And Elena knows this because of her research, and she's smart. And she puts all of it together because she's seen hieroglyphs that are Peruvian. And she's like, it's in Peru. So I'm sitting there going, how'd they get into Peru? Don't worry about that. We have a transformer for that. And then like this transformer just shows up. I think his name's Transit, who's a giant World War II bomber or something, transport truck plane thing. And they just jump in the plane and fly off to Peru. I'm just like, oh, you're just going to introduce robots whenever we need robots. And then when they're in Peru, they have another robot, which I forget his name, who's this like little BMW Volkswagen van, which is super cool. And I forget his name. And he's like Spanish. And this is actually where one of the worst jokes in the whole movie is when this robot's actually introduced, and I'm just like, this joke doesn't land at all. It doesn't make sense. But like robots just started showing up, and like Air Razor, which is the beastie eagle thing, she shows up just randomly, and like Prime never knew that Air Razor was around. Prime didn't know that Optimus Primal was never around. There's a lot of disconnection of which robots are who and where, and how does not everybody know of each other, and like Scourge isn't on planet. He's off in outer space. We don't even know what he's doing in outer space. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird when it comes to that. And the other element, and it's not even a big element, because like they do a lot of setup and payoffs in this movie, which is nice. But I kind of wished they set up Elena with a little bit of tech knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like, have a scene with her playing video games before, and she's like late for work, and she's got to go get the coffees and stuff like that, like in the arcade or something like that. Very 90s vibe, because she does some tech stuff later in the film where I'm like, how does she know how to do this? Like, we don't see any tech savviness with her at all. And I kind of wish we had a little setup to pay off of her using the big Cybertron computer at the end. And I'm like, that would have been a nice. But in general, the humans aren't bad. They're not insufferable. And they kind of have a point in this movie. And I thought they were good. They didn't run around screaming like, we're always in trouble. There are scenes where they are in trouble. But they genuinely drive the plot along because they're not stupid. And the Transformers, Autobots, Decepticons, Beasties, whatever Unicrons things, all look beautiful. And the sounds beautiful. Music's great. It's a good film. I got nothing else to say about this movie. I think you should go see it on a cheap night. Assemble your crew. If not, wait till you can get it on digital. Rainy day, that thing. You're going to enjoy it. I'm out of here. That's the end of my review. I hope you like it. It does set up, stay for the credits. And it does set up something that I think is actually undeserved. And maybe I should have a spoiler review, because I kind of want to talk about it, because I don't think they deserve to do what they're going to do. Yeah. Anyways, I'm out of here. If you have any comments about the movie, leave them below. Let's chat about it. I'm out. Have a good day. Whatever you're watching, I hope you're enjoying it. Peace out, everybody, and bye.